Okay, my little game dev gangsteronio, we are at the end of our game. The next step is to create the game over panel and display that to the user, well, when he dies. So in order to do that, I'm simply going to go here and create a UI canvas. And for that canvas, I'm going to call it game over canvas. So game over, there you go. And over here, we're going to change the screen space or the render mode to screen space camera. And of course, attach the main camera. And from here, change the UI scale mode to scale with screen size, and again 1920 by 1080, same as what we did for our gameplay UI canvas. So now that we have that part, we are going to create an image inside of the canvas. So UI and then image, and I'm simply going to call this one game over panel. So game over panel, like that. And we can go over here. Simply what I'm going to do is change the width. So the width is going to be 1330 and the height can be 725. There you go. I am also going to change the color to somewhat silverish, something like this, I believe can do. Yep, there you go. Let me see how it looks like. There you go. But I'm also going to do one thing, and that is going over here inside of the sorting layer. I am going to create another sorting layer, and I am going to call this one UI and set the game over canvas on that sorting layer. So from here, we are going to change it into the UI because I want it to be rendered on top of everything else. And I'm going to do the same thing with the gameplay canvas just in case. So over here, put it on the UI and there you go. When it comes to the text, I'm going to right click over here because we're going to have two texts. One is going to be the game over text. I'm going to call this one game over text. There you go. And it's going to be positioned with the anchor at the center. So the width is going to be 1205. Not 8 but 5, and the height is going to be 605 for this text. And I am going to align the text in the middle basically, and what I'm going to write here is basically game over, try again. There you go. And from here, select our Comic Rack or whatever font that we have imported and set the font size to 181. But of course, as you can see, look at that. Well, it looks a little bit weird. And I also misspelled over with 2 E's. So first things first, remove 1 E. And I am also going to change the color to white. And I believe this is everything we need when it comes to the game over panel, of course, or game over text. I'm going to duplicate that text, and over here, I am going to call this one you win text. So you win. And over here, we're going to say you win with an exclamation mark, play again, and there you go. So when I turn it off, this is what we have. When I turn this one off, this is what we have. And based on if we win or if we lose, we are going to display one of these two texts. Simple as that. So I am going to select here this canvas, and I am going to turn it off over here. And by the way, this is the preferred or better way for you to manage your canvases in terms of if you have a canvas that you don't want it to be active, it is better to turn it off here by enabling and disabling. So over here by enabling this or disabling it, than to turn it off over here by deactivating the game object itself. Because when you enable and disable a canvas, basically he will continue to render from where he left off. So it will not require any extra rendering power. It will not require any extra resources for that to run. But if you turn the game object on and off, when the game object that is being or that was turned off, when it's turned on again, basically in the scenario where you have a canvas, it is going to trigger the re-rendering of every single element inside of the canvas. So if you have, I don't know, 15 text, 20 buttons, whatnot, it is going to trigger to re-render all of those UI elements again from scratch. But if you enable and disable, so if it was enabled or actually disabled and then you enable it, that is not the case. It will just continue to render from where it left off from the, before it was disabled. What if I tell you that I have more tutorials with better explanations and a more comprehensive guide than this one that you're following Sounds interesting? Well, that's my Game Development Academy, and inside you have more than 80 courses, more than 500 hours of content for you to learn game development with Unity, Unreal Engine, and everything in between. So, click the link down below and check it out. So in order for us to wrap this up, we do need to go here inside of our gameplay controller, who is the main pillar of this. And over here below our game running, we are going to create our serialized field. And this one is going to be a private canvas. So canvas, and this is going to be game over canvas. There you go. We are also going to have a serialized field for our text, so private text, and one is going to be the win text and the other is going to be the lose text. So we are going to display, depending on if we win or lose. We are also going to restart the level. So over here, I'm going to go and create a serialized float or serialized field, which is going to be restart level time. By default, I'm going to set that to 3. So when we die, we're going to restart the level in 3 seconds. And last but not least, we also need a reference to the players, so private game object player. And we need this reference because we are going to kill the player when the game is over, be that if we win or if we die. So our player is going to be equal to game object find with the tag, and over here passing the tag manager player tag. And there you go. This is going to get us our player. And last but not least, going over here, we're going to create the game over function. So over here, we are going to create void or public void, because we're also going to call it in our player script when we die. So public void game over, which takes a boolean that I'm going to say win, or the name of that boolean is going to be win. And essentially, what is this? Okay, I thought it was showing some error for whatever reason. So when we call the game over, the first thing that we are going to do is we are going to destroy the player game object, because we don't need it. The game is over. Be that if we win or if we lose, we don't need the player inside of our game anymore. Next, we are going to enable the game over canvas. So our game over canvas enabled is equal to true, and now it is going to activate. So that canvas is going to activate, but based on if we win or if we lose, we are going to preview the text. But before that, we're also going to say our game running is now false, because the game is not running anymore. We have died or we won. We should not count the air. We should not count the air, and we should not count the time. So it should not continue to go down. Next, over here, if we win, so if that is true, which is the parameter that we have passed over here inside of this function. So if that is true, that means that we are going to say win text dot set active. So game object set active to true. It is going to activate the win text. Else, if we, if we lose, then we're going to activate the lose text. So we're going to say lose text dot game object set active to be equal to true. And also over here, we can omit the curly brackets, because we only have one line of code after the if statement. If this is something that you didn't know, now you know. So if you don't know, now you know. Anyways, just kidding. But if inside of an if statement you have only one line of code after that, so after the condition, if you have only one line of code, you can omit the curly brackets. You don't have to use them, and this is for you to know in order if you explore other people's projects and you stumble upon something like this, so that you don't get confused. And last but not least, we are going to have a function that I'm going to call void restart level, and we're going to call this function inside of an invoke. So just copy the name, and over here we're going to say invoke, passing the name of that function and passing the restart level time, which is currently set at 3. So when we die, here it is set at 3. When we die and we call the game over, or when we win and call the game over, based on if we win or lose, we're going to preview the text, and then we are going to reload the same level. And over here, in order to reload the same level, we can simply use Unity Engine dot scene management dot scene manager dot load scene, and from here I can simply either pass the name of the scene, which is gameplay. We can do it like that, or we can take the game manager again from here, and I can paste that over here. I can say game manager dot get active scene dot name. this is going to get us the current active scene. You see, it gets the current active scene. And basically, it will return the scene that is currently active, or the scene that we are currently on. In our case, it's gameplay. If we're in the main menu, it will return main menu, and so on and so forth. You get the point. And then we can only say .name returns the name of the scene that is currently active in the game or app. And this is going to, well, simply return that. It's going to return the name of that scene. Now over here, when the time, so here, game over, when we die, we're simply going to call game over. So it's game over, not game object, it's game over. Passing here false because we have died. Or basically we didn't want the game, instead we lost the game. And this is if the timer for the time runs out, or if the air timer runs out, we are going to call game over, and then we are going to, well, simply die. That's all there is to it. Now inside of our player walk, let me just find it. So we have the player animation. I'm going to just remove all other scripts because we do not need them. We basically only need these two at the end. So player animations I turned off, or removed player walk. Here it is. In the player walk over here at the bottom, we are going to have on trigger enter, and we're going to have on collision enter, because some game objects such as the spider walker, he is a solid body. You cannot detect collision with a solid body by using on trigger enter. You need to use on collision enter. That is the difference. And over here for the collision, we're going to test if our collision dot compare tag, and we're going to compare it with the enemy tag. So let me just take a look at here in the tag helper, tag manager. Do we have the enemy tag? No, we don't. So we are going to say here public static string, and this is going to be the enemy tag, which is going to be equal to enemy, like this. And we're also going to have a public static string goal tag, which is going to be equal to goal. There you go. And the goal is the final destination that we need to reach. So over here, if we compare that with the tag manager enemy tag, if that is the case, then we have died. So we are going to say gameplay controller dot instance dot game over, not game object, and over here passing false. If, however, over here, if our, or basically I'm just going to copy all of this, and I'm going to paste it, and over here comparing it with the goal tag, and if that is the case, then true will be printed out and we won the game. Inside of our on collision enter, we're going to test if the collision.game object compare the tag with the tag manager. So tag manager enemy tag, if that is the case, we have collided with the enemy, then we are going to simply call the gameplay controller instance to denote that the game is over false. And there you go. So basically this is everything we need, and I'm lowering the volume like I have some sound effects added that is going to go into the next video, but just over here now we can test this out. Before we do that, we do need to select the gameplay controller and attach the canvas, and also here the text. So we have the game over text, this is the lose text, and over here we have the win text. Now over here I can simply say, instead of game over, I can say the lose text. There you go. And now if I hit the play button, if the timer runs out on these, so if the timer runs out, and just to demonstrate that, I'm going to set the air max to 3. So after 3 seconds, we are going to die, and we are going to see that, look at that, after 3 seconds, we are going to die. Look at that, game over, try again, and the game should restart shortly, and there you go. Of course, we cannot keep up with this game like this. We are going to die infinitely, so I need to put that back at 20. Otherwise, well, we are going to die and die and die. So if I also go over here, and if I get hit by some of these, there you go, look at that. So that brick or whatever brick, the spike hit me, and we can also go over here for the spike. Let me just find the script. So we have the diamond collectible. Where is it? Obstacle, saw, hanging spike. Here it is. So here, when it hits the player, okay, yeah, we are basically not, we can do that over here inside of the player walk. So here, if we, collide with the player, if you want, you can also do something like collision dot game object dot set active to false to deactivate the game object. That can be the player, actually the enemy, the spike, it can be the spider bullet, whatever. So if you want to, you can deactivate it as well, because I just saw that the spike simply, passed to through the player after it touched him. So going back again over here, no matter what touches me from these enemies, it is going to kill me. Going back over here, there you go, look at that. So we have died, game over, try again. Now in order for me to test the game win, I'm going to go over here. I'm going to go way over here, and I am going to use one of these diamonds. I'm going to duplicate it and paste it over here, but I am going to take this diamond outside over here because I'm going to deactivate all other diamonds. Instead, I'm only going to have one diamond because I don't want to go through all of that fuss collecting all of these diamonds and so on and so forth. So if I hit the play button, now when we pick up this one, you see the door opens. When we go over here, you win. Play again and again, the game restarts, and here we can win infinitely. If that is how you want to play the game, be my guest, and there you go. So let me just put the player back where he initially was. So going back over here, there you go. This is the initial where the player was. If I hit the play button, let me just see. The camera is going to follow him, and there you go. So going back over here, let me just quickly explain what we did. I mean, basic things. We just attached game over canvas. We attached the win text, the lose text. We attached over here, or created a restart level time, and got a reference to the player over here because we are destroying the player. No matter if we win or lose, we are going to remove him from the game completely. We don't need him. That's how we are. We use people, and then no, just kidding. We are not like that, you and me. Game developers are good people. Anyways, over here, what we did is inside of the game over, we are destroying the player when it's called, enabling the game over canvas. Game is not running anymore. And if we won, depending on this parameter over here, so if we won, we're going to display the win text, else we're going to display the lose text. And after that, simply invoke this function after 3 seconds, or the restart level time, which is currently 3 seconds, and it is going to call it to restart the game. Over here, we're calling game over to denote that game is over. The timer has run out. The air value has run out. Pretty clear. Over here, if we collide with any of these, we will do the appropriate. And if something is not clear, if you didn't understand something, and so on and so forth, just make sure that you ask in the comment down below. And I will see you guys in the next video, basically, where we are going to create our sound effects. So you have the folder for the sound effects. You have a couple of sounds. Your assignment for the next video is to create the sound effects on your own. So try to create them on your own. Try to implement that. No matter which way, just implement it. We have the BG music, we have the player jump, we also have the enemy attack, and we have the game over. These are only the sound effects that I added. Of course, you can find more online and add them if you wish. That is totally up to you. I'm not going to get into that. But your assignment, try to create a sound manager that is going to allow us to play all those sound effects. And in the next video, I'm going to provide the solution again from my head. I'm not going to pre-script it and then read it from my monitor. No. I'm going to do it on my own, and let's see what will happen. So yeah. I will see you guys in the next video where we are going to wrap up our game.